Hello, and welcome back to the Alpha Male Podcast. The podcast where we talk about being an alpha male in today's world. With so many things trying to emasculate men and dumb down men and domesticate men, where we're not afraid to stand up and stand out and be the men that God created us to be. Strong, dominant, and in control, made in the very image and likeness of God. We're going to roll into today's topic, which is going to be on alpha dogs. Before we do that, we're going to roll into the bio. If you want to skip, you can generally skip to around 4 minutes. Before we roll into that, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, leave a review of the podcast if you've listened to it before. Your one-stop shop to find out more, to see pictures, to contact me, to support anything like that is goodshepherdtraining.com. All one word, goodshepherdtraining.com. With that, the bio and then the topic, guys.
Who's the guy talking to you through the microphone? First and foremost, I am a Christian. I make no apologies for that. God is number one, and I want to honor that and honor him. I grew up hunting and fishing in the backwoods of the southeastern United States. I joined the Marine Corps at 17. I did a couple of combat tours in Iraq. After my combat tours in Iraq, I was an urban warfare instructor for the United States Marine Corps, teaching urban warfare and desert warfare to Marines and other military forces. After that, I worked for LAPD as a sworn peace officer. I worked regular patrol assignments, more specialized assignments in law enforcement. Was in that for a lot of years. I also served the United States Army, both full-time and part-time National Guard. I guess I should say that my primary MOSs in both were infantry. I started shooting competition even before I joined the Marine Corps at 17. In fact, by God's grace, with the talents he's given, even won a gold medal before I joined the Marine Corps at 17. I've won more competition shooting matches than I can honestly remember. State rifle and pistol champion a few times over. West Coast regional rifle champion. I've been a private contractor for a 3-letter government agency that I won't specify. I've also been blessed to be the commander of a tactical team in a large metropolitan area where our primary objective, our job, was to stop active shooters. Blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and fingers for battle. I've hunted all over this beautiful country, from mule deer on the west coast to whitetail on the east coast to gray squirrel on the east coast to prairie dogs on the west coast. I have been a professional hunter and guide of all kinds of game, professionally hunted things like buffalo and elk and deer and exotic species. I have slain wolf and bear and all manner of beast. And I don't apologize for it. FBI certified, NRA certified, firearms instructor, professional firearms instructor for a lot of years. But if you ask me what I am, I'd say first and foremost, I'm a servant of God, a student of the Bible, a teacher, a preacher, and a fisher of men.
Alright, men, let's talk about dogs. Now, no doubt, dogs have been man's companion for thousands of years. Some scientists even believe that they are the first animals we ever domesticated. Something very manly about having a good, strong, protective hunting dog. Now, I should let you guys know that I just got a new puppy as part of the tribe. I hope you listeners consider yourself part of a tribe in the Alpha Male Podcast. I would like to consider you all part of the tribe. We got a new member recently. As I sit here recording, I have a puppy with his head on my arm having puppy dreams. And my wonderful, beautiful wife sitting beside me. I'm a very blessed man. But I got a Rhodesian Ridgeback puppy. I named him Alexander Hamilton. So, getting into today's topic, what makes a dog an alpha dog? What kind of dogs do you think fit with an alpha male personality? If you guys have listened for any amount of time, you probably know that I am what people would call a survivalist or a prepper, or just what I would consider prepared for whatever comes, watching and being ready. Now, you may dissent from the opinions that I'm going to give in this. We are all passionate about a lot of stuff. Men can be very passionate about cars or guns or dogs. But I'm going to give you a list of dogs that I think are alpha dogs. So, for me, an alpha dog has to be good at two things: protection and hunting. Just like for me in the world of firearms. You should be able to use guns to protect yourself and put food on the table. A lot of people focus just on the tactical, and they've never been in a gunfight in their whole life. But they've had to eat who knows how many times every day of their life. Just like a gun should be able to do both those roles, I think a dog should be able to do both those roles equally well. And I only know of 3 dog breeds out of all the hundreds of dog breeds that we have that do both those things well. One is the Akita, and I have a soft spot for the Akita. I have had more than one Akita. That was kind of my go-to dog. It was bred for hunting bear, and it is great for protection. It was bred equal for protection and for hunting. And they are great, fantastic dogs. I had an Akita named Thor and an Akita named Boulder. And they were great dogs. Definitely alpha male dogs, definitely alpha male personalities, definitely not easy to train, but a force to be reckoned with. If you don't know what an Akita looks like, look them up. They're big, powerful, muscular dogs. Built for bursts of energy in cold climates. The only problem with that dog is that they are very hairy and they shed a lot, and they require a bit of grooming. And my wife, who I love very dearly, did not grow up with dogs, has never had a dog before. Although you wouldn't believe that now to look at her with the dog laying on her lap, snuggling, and how much she loves taking pictures and hanging out and cuddling with the dog. But I have been trying to talk her into getting a dog for years, and I wasn't going to just get a dog without my wife's consent. I want it to be a shared thing, and to be fair to her, we lived in Las Vegas for quite a while, and that was not a good environment or a good schedule for a dog. But she finally gave me the go-ahead to get a dog. I'm very thankful. And I did not get Akita for the reason that she wanted a dog that did not shed very much, that did not have hair blowing out everywhere, and I respect that. That's a good decision. So that nixed the Akita. The next dog I know that will both equally hunt and protect is a Catahoula Leopard Dog. Catahoula Leopard Dogs are really cool. They're beautiful. They come in a lot of really pretty coats. I really like them. I was looking at them and I was kind of debating between the Catahoula and the last dog that meets those 2 criteria that I'm aware of that's equally good at both. And the Catahoula was really cool. And I looked at some Catahoula breeders, but it seemed to me like they bred them more for the color and the looks than they did for any kind of breed standard. It's ones that I could find that had puppies, and I couldn't find any in the area where I am that I could actually go look at and pick out a puppy. And I also watched a couple of videos, and another big criteria that they said about the Catahoulas was they were very high strung. They needed a lot of stimulation and exercise. And I'm all about stimulation and exercise, as you can probably tell from past episodes. But I also like a dog to just be chill and relax when they're not exercising. I like them to go and exercise hard, and I like them to be able to, relax and chill out and not be high-strung all the time. I've dealt with high-strung dogs, and high-strung dogs are not my favorite. And I watched a couple of videos, and that leaned me towards the Rhodesian Ridgeback. If you're not familiar with the Rhodesian Ridgeback was bred to hunt lions. It's a cross between the European settlers that went to Africa and colonized and the indigenous, I believe, Hottentots tribes of South Africa. And they bred their dogs, the big mastiffs, the European dogs, with the domestic African hunting dogs. And they bred these dogs, Rhodesian Ridgebacks, to hunt lions. Now, since my dog is 10.5 weeks oldish, he's not hunting any lions yet. He's just chilling out, eating a lot, napping a lot, and getting a lot of playtime in to get big and strong. But they were bred to hunt lions and hunt lots of other quarry, and they were also bred for protection. So they are a good protection dog, and they are a good hunting dog. And I hope that he is able to hunt mountain lions with me next year. And lots of other things. I would like for him to be able to not just provide meat for the family, but meat and food for himself. Like I said, those are the two big criteria for me for an alpha male dog. To be able to protect you and your family. One of the big reasons I wanted a larger dog was that I wanted my wife to be able to go running in the woods and not be worried about bears and mountain lions and things that live where we're at. And even more important, the two-legged predators, because everybody worries about like bear protection in the wilderness, but people get abducted and all kinds of horrible things happening to them in national parks and, you know, forests and stuff all the time. It happens. And I wanted a dog that would protect my wife when she was out running and hiking in the wilderness. And I don't have any doubt that when this Rhodesian Ridgeback gets big that he'll be able to do that. So, as you can tell, I settled with the Rhodesian Ridgeback. They have a very nice coat, a very minimal amount of grooming required. They're supposed to be very resistant to bug bites. They're supposed to be resistant to hot and cold, although I don't know about that with my puppy because he seems to very much not like the cold at all. That being said, he was born and raised in Phoenix until I got him a few weeks ago. But a great dog. Named him Alexander Hamilton because out of all the names that I had a list of, I thought that was one that my wife would like the best, and I wanted to surprise her when she got home from a business trip with a puppy. And I think it's safe to say that she is quite attached to him. With that being said, those are my criteria for an alpha male dog. For me. And you may say that you have a dog that's some kind of breed that does both, or he's a hunting dog that does protection. The issue that I have is that I've raised, my father raised hunting dogs. One of my good friends in school raised black and tan coonhounds. Most dog breeds that are bred to hunt, like pointers and retrievers and Labradors, they're not great protection dogs. They're meant to be friendly with people and hunt animals. And a lot of the protection dogs, like German Shepherds, like Malinois, like, Anatolian Shepherds, which are great dogs, but they're not really hunting dogs. They're not bred for hunting. They're generally, especially if they're shepherd breeds, like a Malinois or a German Shepherd or a Anatolian, they're bred to be nice to animals. It's a really hard thing. You would think that there would be a lot of overlap, but as far as I know, and I really like dogs and researching dogs, as far as I know, animals that were bred to do both equally well, I only know of the Akita, the Rhodesian Ridgeback, and the Catahoula Leopard Dog. Kind of skimmed over the Catahoula, but he's a really cool mix. He's similar to the Rhodesian Ridgeback in that he was a mix between the European colonists and the Native American dogs descended from the red wolf. So they mixed those dogs. The Catahoula was bred for that. Kind of an all-around hunting and protection dog. So if you're looking for a dog, those are the three breeds that I'm interested in. You may be interested in other breeds for other reasons. If you live in, Manhattan, you probably aren't real interested in a dog that can hunt because you probably can't hunt anything. Unless you want a dog that's going to bring you back rats. Or maybe you just want a hunting dog. Black and tan coonhounds are really cool dogs. Blue ticks. A dog like that is great, but they don't make great protection dogs. You may find one oddball that is, but you're probably not going to know that until they're full grown. And that's one of the reasons that I like purebred dogs. I'm not into rescuing dogs. I'm not into any of that stuff, and I'll tell you a few reasons why. If you want to, that's great. But a lot of those dogs, sadly, and it's not their fault, have psychological problems from being shut up or abused or abandoned. I feel bad for those dogs, but I don't want that dog in my house. A dog is there to serve me. I have dominion over the beasts of the field. My dog should be there to be useful to me. Sometimes that usefulness is just, being a good companion and spending time with him and the benefits and the health benefits of having a dog in the house. But sometimes I want that dog to protect and to serve and to put food on the table. And I want that dog to be well adjusted and mentally stable. I may get that in a shelter dog and I may not. I'm much more likely to get that from a champion bloodline dog that was bred generation after generation for specific character traits and specific physical attributes. And the most guaranteed way to do that is to get a purebred dog. And if I'm going to have something as part of my home that I'm going to interact with on a daily basis for 10 plus years, I don't want to compromise it. I don't want the cheap thing. I don't want the compromise thing. I don't want the dog that nobody else wanted. I want the best dog that I can get. Just like if I'm going for a handgun. I get it if you only have money for like one handgun and it's a budget handgun. It's much better than no handgun. But if, like me as a professional gunfighter, if I'm going to trust my life to it, I'm not going to get the bargain basement handgun because my life and other people's lives depend on it. If I'm getting a dog to protect my wife, I don't want the dog that nobody else wanted for $50. I want the best dog that I can conceivably pick that has been bred for generation after generation for those specific traits. When my wife's out running, in the wilderness or hiking in the wilderness, I want the best dog to be able to protect her. That's one reason I personally rule out, things like shelter dogs. And no dog is a guarantee. You don't know, even if you pick out your puppy, like I wanted to pick out my puppy, you don't know exactly how they're going to turn out or exactly their personality. But if you get a purebred dog that's bred for specific traits and specific breed standards, you have a much better idea of how that dog's going to turn out. So I would say if you're going to consider bringing a dog into your home as an alpha male and as an alpha dog, really be circumspect and consider that you're going to have that dog, God willing, for 10 plus years of your life. And you're going to interact with it, hopefully on a daily basis. It may depend on it from time to time, but far more it's going to depend on you. And you have to interact with that dog on a daily basis and hopefully bond with that dog. And train that dog. And have that dog be around your family. So I'd say really give that some thought. I will give a shout out to some other dogs. I really liked German Shepherds when I was growing up. I had an awesome German Shepherd named Floyd who got heartworm, sadly, when I went to the Marine Corps and passed away. But he was a good dog. Not much of a hunter, but a big German Shepherd and good protection dog. I like German Shepherds much better than I like Malinois because, like I said, high-strung dogs, I've never met a Malinois that was not high-strung. Before the job that I have now, as I mentioned, I was a commander of a tactical team, and that included several canine units. The German Shepherds, they could always be pretty chill. The Malinois, I've never met a chill Malinois, unless maybe they were super elderly. But by then, they're generally not a working dog. But Malinois, to me, I know they're the kind of the new hot police, service dog. But to me, they're just way too high-strung. They don't seem to have an off button at all. Rottweilers are pretty cool. I've never owned one, but they seem like good dogs if you don't care about a dog that's going to hunt. Another one you may consider that's kind of dual purpose is the cane Corso. You can look those up if you want, but the cane Corsos are really cool. They're kind of like a big pit bull, and they do hunt hogs. But from what I understand, hogs aren't that hard to hunt with dogs. They don't have to be like an expert tracker. They're mostly there to, hold the hog down and wrestle it down and hold it there until the human can come and kill it, which is great. But hog hunting is not really my thing. That's going to be your main thing. Cane Corsos are great, but if you want something that's going to hunt multiple species, I would rule it out. I don't know that they'd be a good bird dog or a good, tracker of other animals. that might be harder to track down. Cane Corsos are really cool dogs. Dogo Argentino, also in that similar line. Dogo Argentinos are really cool dogs. If you don't know what they are, look those up. Definitely an alpha looking dog. Again, they kind of tip the scales, though. They don't really ride the fence well, in my opinion. They seem to be much more of a protection and aggression dog than a hunter of multiple species. They do use them for hog hunting. I believe that's what they're bred for. But Dogo Argentinos are a pretty cool breed, too. If you want a smaller dog, the only smaller dog I know that I would even consider maybe an alpha dog would be a Staffershire Terrier. Staffershire Terriers are kind of what has been bastardized today as the pit bull, and pit bulls can be great dogs, but the purebred, smaller, compact version of that those dogs likely descended from are Staffershire Terriers. Very athletic, very cool, and very compact dogs. I consider getting one of those. My wife, we looked at those months ago, but they're not hunting dogs, and I like to hunt. So again, if you're in an apartment in a city and you just want an alert dog, a watch dog, and kind of a cool, energetic dog to exercise with, that would be a pretty cool dog. If you have livestock and livestock guarding is your thing, you're more of a homesteader, and you want mostly a protection dog and you're not going to hunt because you raise your own meat, there's a couple of really cool dog breeds. Anatolian Shepherds are really cool. Tibetan Mastiffs are pretty awesome. And Great Pyrenees are, bred to be really good protection dogs. So, I hope you've enjoyed getting together and having a more lighthearted discussion on dogs. Hopefully you're a dog person. If not, you might want to question your alpha male status. If you're into cats, I don't know if that's a disqualifier or not. But I know sometimes we do some pretty deep philosophical talks here on the Alpha Male Podcast and, the state of things in the world and alpha male traits and things like that. And I don't want to stop doing that. I think that's great. But I think every once in a while it's cool to just get out and hang out as a tribe and talk about man stuff, whether that's guns or gear or dogs. Since I got a puppy, I figured that's what we talk about because, if you've ever gotten a new puppy, that kind of hopefully doesn't become the main thing in your life. Obviously, God is always number one in your life and should always be number one in your life. But whenever you get a new puppy, it kind of takes up a lot of your time and training and attention and housebreaking and all that stuff requires time and attention. But I think it's a very alpha male thing to assert your dominance over another living creature and have them obey you and not abuse them, but take care of them and be a good steward of them. As the Bible says, you shall have dominion over the beasts of the field. My dog is here to serve me and serve my family, and I take great pride that God has set me over the beasts of the field and made me in His very own image to have dominion. I think that's a very alpha male thing if you have a well-trained, well-behaved dog. It can be, trying and frustrating at times, but in the end, I believe it's worth it, like a lot of other things in life. So if you like this episode, if you like this talk, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If you like this podcast, the Alpha Male Podcast, you may also like Gunfighter Life if you care more about guns and tactical stuff. Gunfighter Life, you might enjoy that. If you care about the important stuff, check out Simple Man Sermons, the preachings of a simple man called by God to share the good news of Jesus Christ. If you want to check out some pretty cool pictures, I will try and post some on Patreon. Go to goodshepherdtraining.com, scroll down to the Patreon link. goodshepherdtraining.com is your one-stop shop. You can check out those other podcasts on there if you forget the name of them. If you just want to check out some cool pictures of, me during the war or hunting or fishing or anything like that, or some new puppy pictures, I'll get some of those posted on Patreon. Some of that stuff is just free to anybody, so you can just go to goodshepherdtraining.com. Again, goodshepherdtraining.com. Some of that stuff you can check out for free. Some of that stuff is just for Patreons that help support this podcast because it's free to listen to, and I like it that way, but sadly it's not free to produce. So go ahead and check that out. You can also contact me on goodshepherdtraining.com. And like I said, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If I didn't mention your favorite dog, if I didn't mention a dog that you think's an alpha dog, please leave a comment, leave a review of the podcast. I know I may get some hate on this one. I know that a lot of people like rescuing shelter dogs, and I think I can certainly understand why, but I hope that I made a cogent argument as to why I don't do that. And I'll try and remember to go to Patreon and post some puppies, post some pictures of the puppy on there, so you can check out little Alexander Hamilton. And as a tactical tip for saying a little thank you for listening to the end of the episode. Since we talked about dogs, I'm going to give you one on dogs, and I'm not a veterinarian, but I would say if you're looking at dog food, look at stuff without, corn or soy or wheat in there, because that grain is kind of a filler. And you're paying for that weight in food, but your dog, as I understand it, and again I said I'm not a vet, but dogs are meant to eat meat, like I believe humans are meant to eat mostly meat. The other stuff they're not really digesting, so you're paying money for food they're not digesting, and if they're not digesting it, guess where it's going? So you're making your dog go to the bathroom more, which is probably not a good thing, and you're spending money on food that they don't really digest. It seems cheaper because you're buying it by the pound, but if half of it's corn, then you're kind of throwing half your money away, in my opinion. And I'll give you one more tip that kind of ties in. If you've never read the book Patriots, if you're into survival and prepping and apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic type stuff, literature, things like that, if you like things like the book of Revelation in the Bible or the book of Daniel, if post-apocalyptic stuff is your thing, or movies, if you've never read the book Patriots by Rawls, you might want to check that out. And also the dog that he picks as like the prepper dog is a Rhodesian Ridgeback. So I thought that was pretty cool. So just a book recommendation there as a tactical tip. If you listen to the end and this whole thing, dogs aren't really your thing, you're not going to get a dog anytime soon, and you listen just to hang out with the alpha males, I wanted to throw that out there. If you've never read the book Patriots, it's a pretty good book. Far down from the Bible, probably my next best prepper preparedness novel / how-to guide. With that, guys, I want to say thanks for listening and have a blessed day.